really exciting. This is just kind of like the last dance for my club softball, and I remember being a younger girl watching it on TV at home before I'd even come to California to play in the PGF tournament. So the team I'm on right now is a really special team, so I'm looking forward to finishing it out with them, and then just finishing out in the All-American game is just like the cherry on top for club softball for me.
I was in awe. I honestly was super excited. I've always watched this game when I've played in all of the other PGF games that I've played in. And just seeing those girls, like, you look up to them. They look like your idols. You play against them and you're like, I want to be like her one day. I want to play on the All-American team one day. And just receiving the news that I'm on this team and I'm going to be able to play in this game was just an amazing experience, and I'm super excited.
The date of the game is July the 30th. As a matter of fact, the date of the games, and that's what makes it so dynamic. Hi there, folks. My name is Daron Sutton, and we are going to introduce you to the Premier Girls Fast Pitch High School All-American roster and the underclass roster, the futures game, the 23s and the 24s, as we like to call them, on this show. And we're going to introduce you to the history of this great event, which began in 2016. Of course, the PGF Championships dating all the way back to 2010. I've had the good fortune of being the voice of all of them, alongside Amanda Freed. And Amanda, thanks for hanging out with us, an All-American certainly, and a national champion at UCLA, Brentt Eads, passionate about this sport. You do amazing work, my friend, with Extra Innings Softball. You're going to drive this show. But here we go, guys. First, Amanda, I think it's important to talk about kind of the history of the game. And, you know, with your journey as a player, understanding what this would have been like should you have had an opportunity like this. You had an international opportunity. But this created for these athletes to celebrate the end of their high school careers, and also now with the futures game, 23s and 24s. As you look at the impact of this sport, what's your first takeaway?
Well, this is the game that these athletes want to be a part of. And I think when this first came as a thought, it was to get all the best athletes to be able to compete against each other for one last time, to celebrate their careers before they go off to college. So many of these athletes going off to top level colleges. And the fun thing right now is we're seeing it play out as we watch these athletes go through their seasons on TV, the regionals, the super regionals, the Women's College World Series, going back to those original athletes who have played in this game and to now see where they are today. It's really exciting. I mean, if I threw out some of these names, and almost every athlete we've had on these All-American games have gone on and have been in some capacity in this postseason. So, I mean, that inaugural year, we're still seeing some sixth-year seniors playing on the field because of COVID. We're having an opportunity to see all of our classes together as one playing. Miranda Elish, one of those names, Aaliyah Jordan. Miranda Elish, of course, at Oklahoma State, Aaliyah Jordan at UCLA. A couple of those athletes, Deja Mulipola and Bubba Nichols, obviously, you know, we're on the Olympic team. So they started this train moving, and athletes just wanted to be a part of it. That following class, I mean, hello, Jocelyn Allo. I mean, we've all heard that name and what she's been able to do. She was in that 2017 class along with her teammate, Lindsay Elam, Lauren Burke, who's in Texas. I mean, the list can go on if you want me to name, you know, several. So the 2018 class was really surprising to me to think of what Danielle Williams has been able to do for Northwestern. I want to say upsetting, but I mean, look at that roster that they have. Danielle Williams is on that. Skylar Shellmeyer, Grace Lyons is at Oklahoma. This is all the 2018 class. Frankie Hamoudi at Oregon State. She's driven that team this entire season to get to the Women's College World Series. Anna Vines at UCLA. The 2019 class, UCLA's Alyssa Garcia, Maya Brady, Lexi Sosa, Sydney Supley at Northwestern. And then, of course, 2020, we weren't able to have this great event. So, you know, you think back to those athletes, and so many of them who are on the big stage could have been a part of it. But then this 2021 class, Grace Nito at Northwestern, Jordy Ball, we've talked. Jordy's been injured. Jordy had a phenomenal season. Taylor Stevens at UCLA and Sophia Nugent at Oklahoma. I mean, this is just a couple. This isn't even every athlete. I mean, I was digging deep, and super regionals were just filled with athletes that were a part of this game. And I think they're there because of this game, partly because this game sets them up to play at that high level. So now they're playing with and against the very best that they faced throughout their high school career and then on through college. And it's been a real treat to be a part of it.
Yeah, it's incredible. She teed you up nicely, didn't she? I mean, those Those are great thoughts, great research, and you've seen it as well. You've been to all of them. You've been to all the PGF events, going back to the 18U National Championship when it started back in 2010. But, what are your thoughts on what she just shared about this game?
I thought you were going to say 1800s. It seems like we've been at this game forever. No, I was thinking about this today, the Jocelyn Allos and those type of players. We've known them since they've been in junior high, in 12 and under and coming up. And Jocelyn's from Hawaii. But it's just been fantastic to see these kids come. And it's a bragging point of note for them that they can be in this game, because it means they have the stamp of approval that they're a top player in their class, but also they're getting national television, and they're having a chance to show what they can do to everybody on a major national level. So I've really been excited to see some of these players, and know that as we reveal these younger kids, these are going to be the Jocelyn Allos and the Jordan Balls of the future.
All right, with those incredible insights, let's meet the East roster. Here are the All-Americans. Up first, catcher Marissa Miller, Lady Dukes Lamar, a Georgia commit. Coach Baldwin, you got her commitment, excited to have her part of a state championship in 2021. Catcher Amanda Hassler, Rhode Island Thunder. Lottie, that's her travel squad. NC State commit. Coach Raychek, she is headed your way. She initially was committed to Kentucky, now heading to NC State Avon High School in Avon, Connecticut. Marley Giles, catcher, utility player, Birmingham Thunderbolts. Alabama, Coach Murphy, you landed her. Patrick, she's headed to campus. She is from Chilton County High School. Great basketball player, had an OPS of 1584. Corner, Taylor Pinnell, Hot Shots Premier, Tennessee. Karen Weekly's her head coach. Dad is Brandon from Illinois. Texas Glory did amazing things a couple of years ago. Hot Shots Premier, though, that's her team. Taylor Pinnell, a corner.
She's won a PGF national championship.
I remember.
Clutch player, good with her arm. She's very quick, athletic. She bats 400, 500, home run hitter, but she's a clutch player that comes up big when the game counts. I remember that she also draws a lot of walks because the opponents really try to pitch her carefully around the plate.
Jaden Gailey, congratulations. Corner, Mojo Fisher. Georgia Tech, Eileen Morales. She made that commitment back in November of 2020 from Livonia, Georgia. Business administration is what she will study at Georgia Tech. Going on down, congratulations to Katie Chester. By the way, her brother Nate plays baseball for Mississippi State as well. Missouri, Larissa Anderson, well done. Kept her in her home state from Liberty North High School, Liberty, Missouri. I love, Amanda, when coaches, especially in the way the world has opened up with smartphones and the internet, I love when coaches, especially in respectfully flyover states, Midwestern states, keep the players within the state borders. I love that.
Well, when you hear that, that's really ultimately what coaches want to do. They do want to spread, and they do want to look from coast to coast. They have to find those best athletes, and a lot of times they'll go to watch those hometown kids in those big tournaments, but they want to keep those kids close to home. It draws families, it draws a fan base. There's a level of loyalty and respect for the program that I think it's unmatched. So I really respect a coach who goes out of their way to just keep those good kids local.
Yeah, a great story going on in Arizona, too, keeping the Tucson kids there. It's stunning what they've done. Real quickly, Courtney Deifel, go. Give me just 30 seconds on her.
I mean, what has she been able to do at Arkansas but just take that program to the top? And I think, unfortunately, they fell short a little this year in Arkansas, but I mean, this is a team and a coach where you just see her embrace her athletes, and you see the dynamic between her and her players. And she's a player's coach. She's the type of person you want to go and play for, the type of person that you want your kids to go and be a part of and to learn from. And she's a mom. She's just so well respected in the softball community that I think her journey is just beginning.
She earned the commitment, and you're going to hear her name quite a bit. She earned the commitment of Riley Cloud, middle infielder, Birmingham Bolts. Hoops player, too. Really good hoops player from Louisiana. 3 times a state champion, 3 in a row, Fairview High School. And by the way, 7-12 with 12 home runs. That's on the resume. Tegan Thronk, intensity, middle infielder, Virginia Tech. Well done, Pete Diamore. She is committed to go play with you. Point Pleasant, New Jersey. Point Pleasant, Tegan Thronk.
We recently had her as a National High School Player of the Week. And another great example of an athlete from the East Coast that Virginia Tech and the ACC schools are able to keep their kids at home. I expect big things from Tegan.
Atalia Rio, Lady Dukes Lamar. There's that Arkansas name again. Corning, New York. 4.0 in the classroom. 491 career hitter. 5-year varsity. Fried, I love the programs and the school districts that allow the athletes to play varsity softball, baseball, whatever the sport, in 7th and 8th grade. You could be in 7th grade playing with an 18-year-old, and this is a great example.
Well, 7th and 8th grade, I think they should be playing multiple sports throughout their entire high school career, but that's for a different day.
I mean, playing up.
No,
up.
I think
you
it's
can
fantastic.
play varsity for 6 years.
Talk about the challenges that come along with that and the leadership that you really have to step up and be a part of. Learn to take instruction and direction from those older players, and then eventually grow into that leadership role. I think that that's such a benefit for these coaches to find athletes like that.
Amina Vega, congratulations. Lady Dukes Lamar Duke commit Marissa Young out of Orange City, Florida. Well done. University Senior High School. All kinds of great stories with her family as well. Abby Dukeshire, Minnesota Renegades. Alabama commit Patrick Murphy. She is North Dakota's Miss Basketball. We talk about multiple sports. 2,700 career points on the hardwood, 25 points in the championship game. Kindred High School, what a great story. Janelle Ilaqua, Mojo Fisher, Michigan, Coach Hutch. She is a commit to go to Michigan. Catawba Ridge High School in the South Carolina area, and initially Virginia Tech back in 8th grade, but committed obviously now, Janelle, to go play for Coach Hutch. What do you know about Alexis Mack? We've been watching her play for quite a while. There's a tie in here, but give me quick, Alexis Mack, your perspective.
Well, Alexis is such a dynamic player. So she's graduated, but started her career at Oregon, or I think South Carolina actually, went to Oregon, finished out with Patrick Murphy at Alabama, but just another athlete that just continued to evolve with the game to better her game year after year. She's fast, she's dynamic, she's a great fielder, and now she's doing all sorts of things on the media side, but coached by her dad, Rex, who's a phenomenal high school coach and travel ball coach. Got a younger sister that's got some talent. I know we're going in
Chelsea,
that direction.
she's in. Well done. Chelsea is in.
Yeah, I mean, how fun is that to have daughters that kind of follow on that same track? I know you try to give them every opportunity to find their way, but then for them to kind of follow in each other's footsteps, but also be their own people in that sport, I think that's pretty special.
81 stolen bases in a single season. She broke her sister's record, 81 stolen bases. I love it. Chelsea Mack, congratulations. Larissa Pruitt, Birmingham Thunderbolts, another Alabama commit here. Huge year. 100 runs scored. State record was 107. She scored 103. Hartselle High School, Alabama. Like daunting speed numbers.
Yeah, the theme that we keep hitting on is athleticism. You know, they play multiple sports, but the athletes in their training anymore is just fantastic. So you're seeing these players with incredible strength, over the fence home run power, but also the speed and agility. You're getting pop times from catchers and home the first times for speedy runners that are just unparalleled anymore. It's just great to see the athleticism. They get down to 60 feet very quickly anymore.
122 hits. 107 stolen bases, 103 runs. You've got to be kidding me. Just an irritant on the base pads. Natalie Ray, congratulations. Outfielder, Bombers Gold, Louis Ole Miss. Jamie Traxel's earned her commitment. The daughter of Jonathan and Jessica, Eastside High School in Covington, Georgia, a 4.0 student. Kaylin McCarthy, Illinois Chill. Trish Ford got it done. She pulled someone out of the Midwest, although it is ASU. She pulls the outfielder, the talented outfielder from Illinois. Coach Ford pulled her to ASU.
Well, I think Coach Ford, especially what she's been able to do this last year, was such a turning point for that program. But it's not really hard to get somebody to want to go to Arizona, right? You know, I mean, the school sells itself, and now the program
not in August,
is just
but the rest of the year it does.
Well, so they don't go out there in August. So the coaches know, they know what to do when it comes to recruiting. But I think that's so great to be able to, of course she wants to keep, like we said, those hometown kids in Arizona, but there is a lot of talent in Arizona and a lot of really good, talented Arizona athletes going across the country, visiting the SEC, wanting to get those experiences. So Trish Ford says, I'm going to go out and grab some of your kids and bring them back to Arizona. And she definitely goes out and gets the best talent.
Yes, what a great, passionate leader of the sport. Maddie Bulk, congratulations. Let's go into the circle now. Fury 2022 Premier Lonnie Alameda earned her commitment at Florida State. Buffalo, New York, very proud of where she's from, Lancaster High School. Academically eighth in a class of 400 students. Kirsten Deal, and of course the well-known athlete Mojo Fisher. KD, Patty Gasso. Originally it was South Carolina, but she's going to Oklahoma. East Forsyth High School, I should say. Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Kirsten Deal.
How many bad puns are going to be used on the real deal? The deal.
For sure.
But she reminds me a lot of the Jordan Ball story. A couple years ago, Jordan Ball was with Nebraska Gold, wasn't a national name. All of a sudden, she explodes, wins at PGF, goes to Oklahoma, and what does she end up earning? Freshman of the Year and taking her team to the World Series. Deal reminds me a lot of that. She's from the Carolinas. A couple years ago, she wasn't even on the radar as far as being a national recruit. She comes out and last year has such an explosive summer. We had her as our all-summer team MVP, first team All-American. Just a great player that Patty Gasso does a fantastic job of going across the country and finding these players. Sometimes they're not the highly touted players at the high programs that they normally would go to, like a Jocelyn Allo comes from Hawaii, but we see that they're able to get players like Deal, and she's fantastic. I think lightning struck twice there, where you got Jordan Ball, now you got Kirsten Deal pitching set for Oklahoma for next millennium.
Tony Tatum, his dad. Michelle Deal, his mom. Congratulations, parents. Kyla Berry, TJ Goals does such a great job coaching those Tampa Mustangs. She's in. She's a JMU commit, going to James Madison, Melbourne High School in Florida. Taylor Tinsley, pitcher, first baseman, certainly a talented athlete. Bombers Gold Lewis. Coach I, Kelly Inouye Perez, earned a commitment to UCLA and pulled her from Lawrenceville, Georgia. Spinderella, Tank, all kinds of fun nicknames, and the great athlete and the great pitcher, first baseman, going to UCLA. Carlin Pickens, SC Elite, another Tennessee commit. Now, this is an athlete, basketball, softball, volleyball in high school, and really did a lot of things and did them very, very well. Pitched, hit a ton of homers. There really wasn't anything that Pickens didn't do.
Tall pitcher, dominating, intimidating presence in the circle. She's one of those that you can build a program around. I'm really excited to see her. I think that her athleticism is going to allow her to not just pitch, but maybe even take the bat up to the plate.
Nice. Yeah, those homers, it was crazy. 23 homers, 299 in the third innings pitched in her journey, 683 strikeouts. Jaden Goodwin, all 5'3" of her, and she is amazingly talented. Bombers Gold Lewis. Tony Baldwin is getting her to go to Georgia. Jana and Jay are her parents, and Paris, Kentucky is her hometown. Jaden Goodwin. That is the East roster. Congratulations to this East roster, certainly. When we come back in just a moment, we'll get to know the All-Americans and the West roster, getting you set from the dynamic game, of course, the high school All-American game, and soon the roster for the Futures game as well.
The road to the championships is here. The best talent from across the country will compete for the title of national champion. From all across the country, the best teams will hit the road and start the champion's journey. A journey culminating in a lifetime of hard work, dedication, and a passion for the game. It comes down to one moment, and winning it all. There can only be one champion. The dream to raise up the trophy. There can only be one stage. The biggest stage. The brightest talent. The future of the game is here. And their journey starts now.
That one is crushed. Up and over the wall. Gone! The Hot Shots win it all!
The 2022 PGF National Championships. Coming soon.
All right, let's meet the West roster. It is time, and this is a fun roster. Some surprising commits on here that we'll reintroduce you to as well. Catcher, Sydney Stewart, Cal Nuggets, Woods, Washington. Heather Tarr has earned her commitment. Mountain View, California. A hitter that, when she gets in the box, by the way, plays basketball too, 575, 14 home runs, the numbers as of late May, 33 walks, 6 strikeouts. What a pain to deal with as a pitcher. Congrats, Sydney Stewart. Reese Atwood at 6 feet tall, an athletic catcher, a Hot Shots premier. Mike White, Texas, has earned her commitment. She's from Corpus Christi, Texas, All-State. Tuloso Midway High School Women's College World Series, Texas, earns the commitment of Reese Atwood.
Tall, I've got her at 6'1".
Nice.
Tall frame. Also great arm, 1.7 pop time. She bats 450s, high, close to 500. Just another good athlete. Mike White's going to love her athleticism and versatility.
Tricia Ford puts up a fence around the state of Arizona and keeps Riley Valentine there. Sandra Day O'Connor High School. By the way, if you're a baseball fan, Nolan Gorman hitting all those home runs for the St. Louis Cardinals. He went to O'Connor as well. Valentine, incredible. She was so special through her journey, not only with the Arizona Storm, and you're going to hear the Arizona Storm quite a bit in this show. I might want to ask you guys about that program as well. But big numbers this year, 1620 OPS, 14 home runs. Bridget Donahue, Arizona Storm again, a corner. Women's College World Series bound Northwestern. Kate, nice job, Coach Kate, getting her there. Kate Drohan and Northwestern, what a great story. Xavier College Prep, who won the 6A championship in 2022. She hit 14 home runs, had 120 hits in her career. Bridget doing an outstanding job. Arizona, I'm not done talking about Arizona. I'm going to mention a handful of more athletes that are from the state of Arizona. A little bit of grabbing hold of some attention this year. I'm proud. I'm selfish. That's my home state. Our wonderful studios, our mothership here in Southern California. Kind of proud of Arizona with the amount of names, I'm going to say.
They've always produced big athletes. I think they're just now being seen, and I think they're developing really good travel organizations that are going to the good tournaments, that are getting exposed, and college coaches are recognizing that. So I think there's always been really good talent. We're just now being able to experience it a little bit better.
Yeah, if you grabbed a softball and threw it really firm this way, you'd hit Orange Lutheran. And they do an amazing job in the classroom on both diamonds, baseball and softball, certainly. But you're really aware of Kiana Estrada and her journey. She's an Arkansas commit. On her social media, by the way, she had a great picture. She and Diana Taurasi just ran into one another, the legendary athlete. She, of course, threw that up on her Instagram. But tell me a little bit about Miss Estrada.
Well, Kiki Estrada is coming from the Futures game last year, and I just remember watching her presence in the box and her swing, and we had an opportunity to talk to her on the radio, and
we did.
Just listening to her break down she was just so intelligent on the game and her processes, and was very mature about it. So I've always kind of kept my eye on her. Going to Arkansas, I think I read that Arkansas has got the #1 recruiting class in the nation, and I don't doubt it. The way they're up there, if not they're #1. So just a really strong left-handed swing, a good corner player, first base. I've seen her play quite a bit, pick some balls. So just a really, really good pickup for Arkansas, an exciting player to keep an eye on.
It's just part of that OC All-Star game. Chino Hills is her home. Kiki Estrada. Maddie Erickson, a corner, Washington Lady Hawks Miller. Coach Hutch, well done. You pulled her all the way from Oregon to the great state of Michigan. 696 on base, chasing a state title this year. Maddie Erickson. Viviama Martinez. Again, Arizona Storm, and this talented athlete from Tolleson, Arizona, Tolleson Union High School, is committed to go to Texas. And what a year they are certainly having, as we talked about. I love the fact about how many camps, and that means good job, Mom and Dad, but I love the fact about how many camps she went to understand it. And even through COVID, when you couldn't go to face-to-face, she obviously went to a couple of camps at Oregon. Coach White was there initially when she went there. Texas, Oklahoma, VCU, GCU, Grand Canyon, Ole Miss. She went to all these camps, but she's going to Texas.
Yeah, Texas doing very well. The thing, going back to Kiki Estrada, is these kids have a high softball IQ. And they're well-spoken, they're articulate, but they know the game and have good instincts. Vivian, whenever I watch her, I just think smooth. She's a triple threat that has outstanding talent, ability. She can hit the 600s. I think I remember she was first-team All-State as a freshman. Just a total talent that's going to do great things, I believe, down in for Mike White's team in Texas.
I'm going to throw one more at you. Kennedy Powell. Congratulations, Kennedy Powell. 5'1", and has been a part of the Hot Shots Premier Group since 10 years old. She's going to UCLA. Coach I, well done. Conroe High School in Texas. And by the way, she's a first-chair violinist, so she's elite on the musical side. But tell us a little bit about Kennedy Powell.
Another good athlete, and doesn't have the size, but she's very smooth. And I remember talking to Nathan Nelson coach at the time who said she was one of the best third basemen that he has ever coached. So just a great player that can play all across the infield, just good skills, and just a versatile player that can do a lot at UCLA.
So I have 3 Arizona commits the rest of the way that I'm going to talk about. But can we talk about, since we're here recording this show, the job that Caitlin Lowe did? Just a quick reminder, and you might have been on some of these games on the Pac-12 network, they were woeful to open the Pac-12 season. They weren't kind of scuffling. They were embarrassing.
Kind of.
I mean, they lost their first 8 conference games. In their first 6 conference games, they scored 2 runs. They're going to the Women's College World Series. They're a part of the Women's College World Series. Before I announce these players that are coming to this game, how incredible is it, the job that she did?
You know, you always think that, or you know that when big transitions are made, I mean, when you're losing a coach like Mike Candrea, no matter who you put in there, it could be the best coach. You could return your entire squad. There's going to be, you've got to allow room for growth and transition. And Arizona experienced that. And I don't think anybody thought that they would the way that they did. I mean, they just finished bottom of the pack. I mean, nobody would have ever have imagined that the way that they started. I remember some of those last games that they were losing in the pack. You wanted them to pull one out for Caitlin's sake, for that coaching staff's sake, because they've got it all together. And you just know with Arizona, though, it's a matter of time. So to see them come through in the postseason, which you just know Arizona's that type of team, you can never count them down and out. I'm so proud and happy for Caitlin because she's deserved this. She's been under Mike's tutelage for the last several years, and she's ready for this. And she's a phenomenal coach surrounded by a really tremendous coaching staff. So I'm so happy that they were able to get themselves back to Oklahoma City.
Didn't they start 0-8 in conference?
Yes.
Something like 2-10?
Yes.
And, I've heard on message boards, the bane that social media is, people were calling for her head, after a month. And
that's wise.
I was just very happy to see her, and she was emotional, but they had injuries and, some things that they could control.
And youth, right?
Youth. But if you can be patient, they have a lot of talent coming into the program. I mean, they're Arizona. They've got that name just like a UCLA and the Texas and the SEC teams that we're talking about, Floridas and such. They will be good in the future. But how often do you see a team turn it around that quickly? 0-8 in conference. It never happens. You end up at the College World Series.
Love it. I love it. We're going to tell you about some of their commits right now that are All-Americans. Taylor Beal is one of them. Lady Magic Munoz, middle infielder. Folsom, California, and did amazing things. An 1832 OPS, 19 stolen bases. River Mailer up next. Jessica Allister earned her commitment at Stanford Northwest Bullets from Washington, a talented left-handed hitter. Mom Tammy, a Washington alum. Tammy started Seth back then, and certainly she did amazing things throughout her journey, did River, playing high school and travel softball with the Northwest Bullets as well. Logan Cole, Oro Valley Suncats, another Arizona commit. Sal Point Catholic, she keeps them there. 4-8 dominating program. 10 home runs at 1580 OPS. Alana Johnson, and she's an exciting athlete. Texas Blaze United, a Washington commit from Macomb, Mississippi, Parkland Academy. They play softball in the fall there. Huge speed. She is an All-American. Reagan Johnson, outfielder. Lady Dukes Lamar, man, we kind of did a quick breakdown earlier on Arizona. But we need to do a quick thought on the Lady Dukes Lamar program. I'm sorry, haven't I said this name multiple times?
James Lamar is out there. He's beating the bushes. He's getting a lot of talent. And if you might have heard of his wife, Marissa Young.
I have.
Duke head coach. So, and the other thing, he has a lot of young players in his program, including his own daughters. We're going to get to some of those in the futures game. But no, James has got it cooking with his program and his own family. And obviously his wife is doing well at Duke.
Carson City High School in Texas, by the way, to finish the thought on Reagan Johnson, and excited for what she's been able to do. Obviously, you go with Lady Dukes Lamar, you're from Texas, you're going to Arkansas. She's going to be a kinesiology major and physical therapist as she gets beyond what is going to be a dynamic college career. Dakota Kennedy, Lady Magic Munoz, Caitlin Lowe earned her commitment. This is a Sacramento, California native. Sheldon High School, big numbers in high school, great stolen base numbers. Dakota Kennedy.
5'10" prototype center fielder. Her mom was a 6'1" basketball player at UTEP, so she's got athleticism in the family. The thing I love about Dakota is she's got that confidence and she's got that it factor. She's going to get it done. And a lot of times you hear people talk about, hits for a high average and power. Yeah, she does. She had 60 RBIs, I believe, in 51 games last year. Double-digit home runs, and she runs well. She does it across the board, 5-tool player.
When we were talking with you and I think had that interview with Deanna Gump recently, the head coach at Notre Dame, and she talked about her incoming class. She was excited about Mickey Winchell. Initially, you think, okay, she's a slapper when you watch her play. She's a triple threat, and Coach made it clear when she talked with us about it. Livermore, California, Grenada High School, and excited. Has great athletic bloodlines, a cousin that plays football at Nebraska, a cousin that plays soccer at San Jose State, Mickey Winchell. Kiara Blanchard, outfielder, LTG Henderson, volleyball player too, Cal Poly commit. I'm excited to see a mid-major slide in here. Tracy, California, West High School, space and engineering program in high school, so the brains are there, and that's one of the reasons that Cal Poly was her choice. And architecture, engineering is what she plans to study at Cal Poly. I think one of my favorite things, whether it's a non-Power 5, with all due respect to you Power 5s out there, whether it's a mid-major program or even a D2 choice or an NAIA choice, when athletes, young women, make the choice because these are the academics. I love the program, they say, but these are the academics that helped me become a pro. You're paying for my schooling. I'm coming to you. I love when that happens.
And I think more athletes are taking that route. I think that they're understanding that it's the top 0.01% of athletes that are going to get to Oklahoma City, that are going to be on that stage in that final game. So what am I going to do beyond softball, and how can I use softball as a catalyst to help me beyond? So these athletes are making decisions based on what they want to be when they grow up. And I think that's so smart. And they're having great careers and great experiences because of that. And then in turn, these mid-majors are benefiting from it because they're getting great athletes. And then you see the San Diego States and some other programs really step up and start to make some noise. So I love seeing these elite athletes go off to these mid-major programs, because you never know. These mid-majors oftentimes can end up in those final super regional rounds and looking to knock off and make their way to the Women's College World Series.
I know you and I talked about some players that you highlighted. I'm going to just put you on the spot here because I learned about this player through a great article you wrote. So I'm going to ask you a little bit about Jordan Ramos. Plays for the Explosion, Purdue commit. Boo de Oliveira is the head coach there, has earned her commitment. Las Vegas, dad is Woody. I loved learning about her through your words. I mean, I loved learning about her journey. She plays for our good friend Brentt Denio Hagberg, Explosion. She played for the late Mark Campbell at one point. Jordan Ramos, an outfielder.
Well, let me ask and put it back on you. What did you like about the article?
I loved well, all your articles. I love getting to know the human being. Yeah. I love getting to know, and that's why she and I do what we do on the shows. I do it on the baseball side as well. To me, the best part of my job, and I'm guessing reading your writing so much you feel the same way. I can't scout like you, not even close, but I love getting to know the human beings. I really do. So that's what I loved about the article.
Yeah, and that's what I love about these athletes. Jordan is up there. She's sharp, articulate. She's overcome a lot, but I think that she typifies what these softball players are about. I always used to joke, I covered football for a long time, and these guys would complain and moan if they have to get on a bus and travel across town to play rival. Where these girls go every week, they're going across the country to play, and they're not playing for the big bucks in the pros. Like the guys are all shooting for, these pro contracts, be it basketball or football. And I love what we were talking about, the mid-majors, is they can get academics. They're looking beyond. They're looking at a degree, and they're looking at the things that are going to be important for life, not just, what am I going to do 2-3 years down the line. Jordan, again, one of my favorite stories I've done, just a great kid. And what I like, as you refer to, is it's the human interest side. These are people, and they're not just thinking one-dimensional about playing for pros or, where sport's going to take me. They're thinking, what can I do to better other people's lives? And that's what I got about Jordan, is she's thinking about other people, not just herself.
Yeah, I always think about the future of these athletes, and these are hireable people. I don't mean to go all corporate on you, but these are, when you've gone through that journey and you've played like you did, you've already gone through challenges that a board meeting won't overwhelm you with, that a deadline won't overwhelm you with, that sometimes teaching a classroom full of young people won't overwhelm you.
It overwhelms
you.
Yes, it does.
That's the one thing it doesn't prepare you for.
Yes, it does.
Leanne Garcia, let's move into the circle. She's a Fullerton mick for Coach Kelly Ford. Breakers Labs, Bobby. Now, she's great because the Mexican national team at the U18 WBSC, left-handed pitcher in 2021 from San Marcos, California, Leanne Garcia. Kaysen Korth, Utah fast pitch Korth. Obviously, you know who she plays for there. Weber State commit, Riverton, Utah, Riverton High School. 140 in the third innings, 274 strikeouts. Kaysen, well done to earn the attention, to play on the national stage. Really excited about this one. Pitcher and utility player Jenna Birch, Oregon State. Coach Berg earned her commitment. The legendary Coach Berg, LTG Henderson. Del Oro High School, Loomis, California. Just big things. 27-4 plays basketball. Had a big year with a bat in her hands last year, too. Ryan Orange, back to that explosion team in the circle. Rutgers commit. Coach Butler earns her commitment from Torrance High School. All the way back east from Torrance. Did great in the Pioneer League, by the way. 3.8 GPA. Ryan Orange.
Well, she's a power pitcher, but she can also hit. So again, I love that versatility. And I love that these college coaches are also going back to finding that type of athlete, like a Jordy Ball, somebody who can get it done in the circle and get it done at the plate. Ryan Orange is definitely somebody who can do that. Committed to Rutgers. So I, again, love this game because it's really about finding those athletes and not just the big name colleges that they're going to. Let's really find the best of the best right now and celebrate them regardless of where they're going, because everybody's journey is different. So I think Ryan Orange, some of these athletes are just late to develop, late to the recruiting process for whatever reason, or they just find the right fit. So I love being able to celebrate a variety of different conferences and programs, and then athletes like Ryan Orange.
And you and I, by the way, interviewed the final member of our roster. She can do just about anything. Nebraska Gold, Heather Tarr's Washington program earned her commitment. Scott High School in Omaha, Nebraska. I loved our chat with Ruby Malin. Why don't you tell us what kind of player she is?
So Ruby was funny because she was behind Jordy Ball in that Nebraska Gold team that won a Premier Girls Fast Pitch National Championship at the 18U level. So everything was about Jordy and what Jordy was doing. But Ruby's a phenomenal pitcher, maybe just, at that point in time, just behind Jordy Ball. Right. But a hitter that we never got to experience because she was intentionally walked every at-bat of that game.
Those intentional walks.
Every single at-bat. And every time she came up, we were like, please just pitch to her. But she wouldn't even see a pitch. It wasn't until the All-American game that she finally, the Futures game, that she finally was able to get an at-bat, and we saw that swing. So Ruby was fun. I want to see more of Ruby, though, and she really does remind me of the type of athlete that Heather Tarr goes for at Washington. So somebody that I'm really looking forward to watching this summer.
Here's what there is to dig and about these 2 weekends, the last weekend in July and then the first weekend that follows the different age groups for me in August, is you have the game planning, you have all the strategy, you have the courtesy and pinch runners, you have the pitching changes in the circle in all the championship games, right? From 10 all the way to 18. And then in the middle of it all, you have the state fair, Disneyland kind of atmosphere of these two All-American games where, with all due respect, there's not as much strategy. It's about a celebration. It's about throw as hard as you can, hit it as far as you can, run as fast as you can. I love how it drops right in the middle of all this intense competition, don't you?
I love the fact that these players want to show off what they can do, and they don't have a strong book, as you said, on each of them. So the athleticism, the dominant talent's going to come out. And so I don't think Ruby's going to be walked 4 times in this game. No. And she can show what she can do. But one other thought I had as you're mentioning that, isn't it great that we're talking about players from Utah and Nebraska?
Yes.
It's not just California, Florida, and Texas anymore. We're talking about Arizona's strong, but you've got the middle states. I live in Idaho, and I watched some play, and there were some girls that are in club teams from Idaho that are doing well. So it's just great to see the middle part of the country. The Big Ten, obviously, draws a lot from Illinois. Indiana, we're going to get to this pitcher, maybe you've heard of, named Keegan Rothrock from Indiana. Wow. But it's just fantastic to see that softball's literally gone all across the country in states, even up in the Northeast, where the weather isn't always conducive. You're getting players that are playing Power 5 and mid-majors.
All right, the Futures roster when we come back. Glad to have you hanging with us, having all sorts of fun on this show, getting to know the best 23s and 24s. Can you imagine that? Sophomores and juniors, oh my, playing one another. Thanks for hanging out with us, getting you set for July 30th. The All-American and the Futures All-American game, Premier Girls Fast Pitch. Futures roster in a minute.
Three, two, one.
Here we go!
There's bouncing ball into center field. It's a base hit.
West side, let's do it.
East side, best side.
Inside corner. She penned a beautiful pitch that time.
East Bow, baby! Let's go, West!
The Futures game on that very same day on July the 30th on ESPNU. It's always such a thing. What a brainchild to do a game like this. The sophomores and the juniors as they head into their next year, as you say goodbye to the seniors, that's deserving the All-American game. Oh my goodness, first year last year. Love this game. Allow us to introduce you to the rosters and some insights. We'll move a little bit more quickly, but that doesn't mean we're not thrilled for these athletes. Can't wait to you and I to call them on national TV. Angeli Bueno, first baseman, Tennessee Mojo 2023 Florida State commit. Giselle Alvarez, a third baseman, Wildcats Wild, a Washington commit. We're not hearing a lot of Packs, but good to see Washington and Coach Tar there. Alexis Delamonica, AZ Storm, AZ's back in the house. Michigan, Coach Hutch, a third baseman. Casey Wood, Casey Peppers, Wallace, and Arkansas commit. I've been knowing about Casey through different interviews. You and I have done something with her as well, and you have some thoughts on Casey Wood.
Just another example of a kid from the middle part of the country, Jeff Wallace's program, the Casey Peppers, that is going to the SEC and just has talent. It's great to see now that these players across the country are getting their due, and she's a great player. We had her in the Extra Elite 100. Good talent.
The transition between junior and senior year, we understand, you and I see these athletes, they're polished. If you're playing in this game, you're very polished. But as you recall, and as you've coached, that transition between your junior and senior year, how do you evolve as an athlete as you recollect again and as what you see?
You know, I think in your junior season, you're still learning the game and you're still growing tremendously. And you are through your senior season, but I think also you're preparing for that next level. You're preparing to be an independent learner of the game. And you start to make your own adjustments on the field. The coaches stop coaching as much as they did at those younger levels, and they start allowing you to play the game. And so I think it's more of an independence in the game, and then just trying to play the best possible competition that you can if you are preparing to go to that next level, because that transition is going to be the biggest jump.
It's such an interesting summer in diamond sports, both diamonds. It's an interesting, the junior going into a senior year where it's your last chance, and it's pretty intense. I mean, there's not as much travel ball played after your senior year. There's some, and there's an All-American game, as we well know. Kylie Brockman, catcher, select fast pitch. Coach Deifel, an Arkansas commit. This is back-to-back Arkansas commits. Ariel Kowalski, Texas Blaze United, a great catcher and is a Florida commit. Katie Stewart, a catcher. Lady Dukes Lamar is headed to Texas. Congratulations, Katie. Part of this Futures 2023 roster. Kenley Cahalan, a middle infielder. Birmingham Thunderbolts, Alabama commit. Congratulations on being part of this Futures game. Sierra Daniel, I should say, a middle infielder. AZ Storm, Mathis, and LSU commit. But we're seeing quite a few Southeastern Conference schools in this 2023 All-American Futures roster.
There's a reason the SEC is considered the top conference. They go around all across the country. And what's interesting is these kids can play on a team from California, and they're going to go to a tournament or an event like PGF, and they're going to be seen by coaches in the Southeast. So it doesn't matter where you live or where you come from anymore. It's more so if you're playing on a top-notch team that's going to be at PGF or some event that's going to get you exposure like this.
Yeah, it's about the exposure. It's so amazing, the exposure that an event like this and the PGF event provides. Emily Digby, middle infielder, Bombers Gold Lewis, Georgia, congratulations. Talon Edwards, middle infielder, Birmingham Thunderbolts 18U, premier Oklahoma State commit. And Coach Kenny, well done. Really enjoy being around his program. Amanda and I enjoy interviewing him regularly. Isabella Torres, middle infielder, Hot Shots premier national. Nelson, the leader of that program, Texas A&M commit. Mia Williams, middle infielder, Bombers Gold Lewis, Florida commit. When I interviewed her recently, she was wearing a Nirvana t-shirt, and I was hooked instantly with the passion of the athlete. Obviously, her father and his successful NBA career, a very good one. But what do you have thoughts on with this athlete?
Oh, I've known Mia for the last 20 years. No, she's not that old. But this is going to be a movie someday, her life story. It's almost like everything came so easily to her. We had her #1 in the country. And then she had a challenge last year at PGF. She badly broke her ankle. I mean, it was so bad that everything shut down. And I've heard that college coaches were crying. It was just impactful. It was a compound fracture where every bone below the knee was broke. And I was talking to her mom recently, and she said only someone, the doctor or surgeon was saying, was someone with great speed and power could have done that much damage to the leg. So she is just getting back now, but she's been working out with noted trainer Lincoln Martin, who has worked a lot with this team in Georgia. And so Mia's been flying up and working with him. And reportedly, though she hasn't been on the field, her athleticism is better than ever. Her speed is better. She's doing everything, but she's got to get back on the field. And a great story, you know, you mentioned Jason Williams, White Chocolate.
Yeah.
That's her dad. Her mom, Danica, was a Olympic caliber sprinter. So she has great athleticism, but this is one of those movie sagas where this is going to be the middle part where she has to overcome this devastating injury that could have sidelined, probably would have sidelined most people. Such a graphic injury, but she's back now and everyone's going to be rooting for Mia Williams.
Look, it's not scientific. I want to be careful how I even say this because there are plenty daughters of librarians and doctors and teachers that go on to play great softball. And you're an elite softball, or you're a legendary softball player with a young daughter, certainly, who's going to try and follow in your footsteps, I would guess. Sometimes, though, you can see the athleticism. When you hear dad was an NBA player and mom was a great sprinter, in the case of Mia, sometimes it just does pass down. And you've coached a lot of these athletes, too.
Absolutely. And sometimes it doesn't, because you really can't teach the heart of the game, you know, and for an athlete like Mia to want to get back up and get back out there. I know athletes that have refused to slide into a base after really, detrimental injuries because there's a lot of fear behind it. So, I've coached athletes like these and you put your money down on them, because it really does. That bloodline runs pretty thick when it comes to that. So I'm excited to watch Mia come back and to watch her future, how it plays out, because somebody who like Amaya Brady, for example, you believe those athletes can all the time. You believe that they've got great support, and I'm excited to watch her on the field.
Yeah, it didn't pass down to me, by the way.
If I could,
athleticism.
If I could say one other thing about Mia that was very revealing. Her mom was saying, this is natural. After it's such a bad injury like that, are you afraid of running? Are you afraid of sliding into second base? And Mia's like, no. She is so focused on getting back that she doesn't have any doubts. There's no self-doubt in this kid. So this is one of those great stories that someday we're going to be talking about. Yeah, she had this big trial. We've lived through it in the last year. But if I were a betting man, and I'm not, I would bet on Mia Williams because I think she has what you just said, that heart and that drive that you can't coach or teach. And it's genetic or not, you can't coach that desire.
Yeah, it's cool. Both of you have said you'll bet on her. I love it. Savannah Bedell, congratulations. An outfielder, Bombers Gold Lewis, and LSU commit. Lila Blackwell, outfielder, Beverly Bandits, DeMarini, Allen, Virginia Tech. We love that Virginia Tech program. Claire Cahallen, Birmingham Thunderbolts premier, 16U. Excited to see her. Obviously, Kenley is sis. She's a Missouri commit. Birmingham Thunderbolts, that's a good program. Congratulations. Cassidy McClellan, Mr. Geltz, TJ Geltz, Tampa Mustang, Florida commit. Cassidy, an outfielder.
We're talking a lot about Florida in this class, but the thing I like about her is TJ says that she's very well liked by her teammates. A good kid, and generally, you don't find a lot of bad cancers on high level teams like this. But the thing that I think that's interesting about Cassidy, she played for TJ. TJ's team, Lakewood Ranch, just won last week a state championship in high school Florida, back-to-back state championships in high school. And of course, his daughter TJ's daughter plays Avery at University of Florida. So she's in the College World Series. So he's having a good run when it comes to softball this week.
Cassidy Pickering, congratulations, an outstanding outfielder. Hot Shots Premier National Nelson, Oklahoma commit. Cassidy is part of that 2023 roster. Ashton Danley, Tennessee Mojo in the circle. This is, as we move into the circle, Florida State commit, a Florida State commit. Keegan Rothrock, that's a name we're all familiar with. She is no stranger to the national stage. Lady Dukes Lamar, a Florida commit. Keegan Rothrock. Let's see, who wants to talk about her? You can talk first about Keegan.
I remember watching. I'll do a little bit, and then you can go a little more in depth. I just remember saying her name over and over and over again in that national championship last year, thinking we're gonna be hearing this name a lot in the future. I need to keep a lookout for this athlete, and she's still so young. So she's a repeat. She was in the Futures game last year, going to be in it again, and somebody we will probably see in the All-American game next year. So I'm looking forward to watching her this summer.
Just a franchise player. Last year, she was our National Player of the Year. She's at Roncalli High School in Indianapolis. 1 week, we had her as our National High School Player of the Week. 1 week, she had 4 games. 2 of them were perfect games, and the other were one-hit shutouts. So this just dominant. She's a dominant player, but she was one of those that in 7th grade committed to Florida, and Mia Williams did too, and it kind of got the momentum going. With later there was a 6th grader committed to Walden, and hey, it's get the foot in the door early, but it kind of moved everything to let's not push them to commit early. Let's have it in their junior year. But I just think that Keegan is going to be like an Olympic player, that caliber, if she continues to progress and do that well. And what a great run for Florida. You could talk more about this than I could, but Kelly Barnhill and Lauren Hager, and this could be the next great Florida pitcher.
Jocelyn Brisky, pitcher, first baseman. AZ Storm Mathis, an Alabama commit. Always excited to talk about Arizona. Ava Brown, we remember her as well. Pitcher, first baseman, Hot Shots Premier National. Nelson, we were talking about Florida. There's that name again, Ava Brown.
Ava Brown, as we record this, is with the #1 team in the country out of Texas. And she's a large reason why. Undefeated. They're going into the high school playoffs this weekend. And what can you say? Another franchise-type player. Don't want to make any predictions about this game, but this pitching staff is daunting. If I was a college coach, if I could get 1 or 2 of these, let alone to have all these in one roster, you guys are going to have a fun game calling this one. But these pitchers are the best in the business. It's just electric that you're going to see 4 or 5 of these players all in one game.
All right, and they're going to be taking on that 2024 roster, that futures roster in 2024. When we come back, we'll introduce you to that roster. The 2024 is taking a look ahead at the futures PGF All-American game. That same day, July 30th, ESPNU. The youngest of them all. Who knows, maybe the most talented. We'll see when we come back.
The road to the championships is here. The best talent from across the country will compete for the title of national champion. From all across the country, the best teams will hit the road and start the champion's journey. A journey culminating in a lifetime of hard work, dedication, and a passion for the game. It comes down to one moment. And winning it all. There can only be one champion. The dream to raise up the trophy. There can only be one stage. The biggest stage. The brightest talent. The future of the game is here. And their journey starts now.
Crushed. Up and over the wall. Gone! The Hot Shots win it all!
The 2022 PGF National Championships. Coming soon.
All right, let's get to know the second half of this great futures game. Played July 30th, broadcast on ESPNU. Amanda and I excited to be a part of it. Let's start at first base. Anelia Adams, first baseman, Beverly Bandits, 16U Premier, and her teammate across the diamond. How about that? Boy, Mr. Conroy, well done. Addie DeLong, third baseman, Beverly Bandits, 16U Premier. There's been certainly, as you well know, over the last couple of years, the evolution of recruiting. It gets to the older age group, that junior year, the communication, that's when it starts now. But Layla Lamar Amanda Freed committed to Florida as a 6th grader. Lady Dukes Lamar, I was going to call them Lady Lamar. Lady Dukes Lamar, of course, Pops, their coach and other third baseman. The evolution, I mean, it's cool that that's part of her story, isn't it?
Well, because she chose a school like Florida. And I think when you're making decisions like that, you have to think to yourself. And her mom, Marissa, has been through the process. She coaches at Duke, so she gets it. But you choose the person, you choose the program. You know that Tim Walton will most likely be in Florida for a very long time. So all of those factors came into play when making that decision. But it's still very young to be making that decision. But I'm glad we shifted up to the junior year, so athletes have a little bit more time to develop. We see a lot of these athletes who are not in these future games, but they evolve into being an All-American. So I like the idea of allowing athletes to have a little bit more time, but talking about genetics and, you know, who to put your money on. Coach Walton thinking Layla Lamar is one of those athletes.
It's funny because you and I, when this started to evolve and we started talking about it, we kind of agreed to disagree on several things. And now I've evolved, I think, as someone who swims in deeply in the amateur baseball and softball pool, both pools. I'm in deep with both, and I love every ounce of it. I'd now love to see it in baseball. You talk to athletes and their families all the time since the new recruiting rules were instituted. Speak generally, if you don't mind, on how it's been received by the families and the athletes.
I think it's a relief because they don't have to worry about somebody taking their spot or being an outfielder at, let's say, Alabama. I'm just making it up. But if Alabama gets a 7th grader committed, you know, the kids felt like, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose this opportunity. Now they know they have until their junior year. They can go to camps. They can check out schools. It's a lot more relaxed instead of, you know, you shop by midnight tomorrow, and if you don't get this offer, then, you know, what are you going to do? You're going to have to accept the first thing that comes down the road. It was just very panicky before it got to that point where everyone was worried that offers would not be there by the time you become a high schooler. So it's good, I think, for the sport overall, because now the athletes can also not just focus on their game and development training, but also on their academics.
So we move on and continue to announce this roster. Maggie Daniels, a catcher. Birmingham Thunderbolts premier Rocky. And another catcher, Kennedy Marceau. Hotshots National Jones. Hotshots National Jones. Sophia Mujica, the third catcher. Power Surge, the Power Surge team. That's the team down from San Diego, right?
Scott Burns' team, yeah. They won a national championship, PGF, a couple years ago. And great guy, does a really good job. And it's good to see San Diego was represented with all the strong LA area teams. And Scott Burns does a great job at the Power Surge.
Hey, you know what else is represented? And they'll be represented again. That's 4 athletes. My gosh. Beverly Bandits, 16U Premier Conroy. Gabby Comia, middle infielder. That is very cool that team is so strong, the 2024s. Samaya Jones, Money is her nickname. Hotshots National Jones, middle infielder. Samaya Jones is a talented player.
Oh, unbelievably talented. She is the daughter of the head coach, Steve. She really knows the game. 5-tool player, great athlete. First team all-district this year as a freshman down in Texas. She batted over 600 and led the team in just about every offensive category. She will be one that will be electric to watch, and certainly over the upcoming years, keep an eye. Great name, Samaya, great player.
Jordan Lynch, middle infielder, Lady Dukes Lamar. Congratulations, Jordan. Mackenzie Pickens, middle infielder, Georgia Impact. Part of the squad, as well as Katie Vance. AZ Storm Mathis, middle infielder, Kate Vance.
Hard worker, good power for a middle infielder, can drive the ball well. She's typical of what I love about these kids. They will do whatever it takes to up their game, and she's one of those from Arizona. They don't have many good players from Arizona, I hear. Not like Idaho, where I'm from. But
Arizona, way to go.
Arizona. But no, she's a hard worker, and she's going to be a big talent. You can watch her in this game and keep an eye on her. Kate Vance, a name to keep an eye on for.
Look, earlier you and I talked about that junior going into senior year. I'm going to ask you the same question, but sophomore going into junior year. It's unique, it's funky, it's fun to see them play one another in this amazing All-American game. But as a recruiter, as a scout, as a player development person, what are you looking for the evolution sophomore to junior year?
Well, when I think back to my sophomore year, I was just coming into my own in the game, really. So I was maybe a little bit late to the game, late in my development, but you're still a baby in your sophomore year. You're still figuring it out at that elite level. You know, your freshman year, you're starting to play against the 18-year-olds, so you're experiencing that. Sophomore year, you're starting to come into your own, but you're still a little rough around the edges, which I love. And I think, Brentt, you mentioned that this is a very versatile group. Mm-hmm. So a lot of athletes that do a lot of different things, do it well. Then when you get to that junior year, it's almost like you really start to identify yourself in your role in the game and understand yourself a little more, learn about yourself and your strengths. And then that senior year, you solidify it and you prepare to move on. But the sophomore year, I just love like the freeness and the and that blue collar, just figuring out how to get it done, working hard, and just figuring out what it means to even be at that top level. So I'm excited to see these youngsters play against the juniors, because I do think that there's a big transition that happens in that year. You're talking 14, 15 years old to 16, 17. So it'll be fun. It'll be a good game.
So what's interesting, I'm curious about what she just said, and it's to simplify it. Look, you have a whole bunch of athletes, 25s, 24s, and they're going through this funnel. And I'm a two-way player. I can play multiple positions. I can do a lot of things. But then that funnel gets really small, and then you have someone like her who can come through the other side. Are you seeing it a little bit wider? Are you seeing more and more players trying to hang on as long as they can and impact the game, whether it's in the circle or behind the plate and in the outfield? Are you seeing a little bit more of that, trying to hang on a little longer?
That's a great question, because it comes down to specialization.
Right.
But some of these athletes are so good. I've always disliked the term utility player, because to me it's like, jack of all trades, master of none.
Right.
But these girls are athletic, and if you have a good arm and you can play third and you have the range to play shortstop or second base, then a lot of times we'll see that middle infielders can also play center field because they can cover a lot of ground. So I think we're still seeing a lot of that. If we have a standout shortstop, we're going to keep this player in center field because she can help us. It's about helping the team and helping these players get reps and at bats and that kind of thing. So I don't think it's specializing as much as we might fear it is, but when you get to this level, and when certainly you're getting to like PGF Nationals or a championship, the coach is going to put the player where she's going to best help the team.
Yeah, and that's your point to me. I mean, and we got to get back to this roster. There is no greater compliment than, hey, we're playing in a bigger ballpark today. We need you to move from first base to center field because you're our best athlete. Yeah. Hey, we have a younger shortstop playing today. We know your range around the bag. You're that comfortable, so you're going to come in from left and play first base. Look, there's no greater compliment. I love the fact that you kind of made it clear, like, hey, if you're a utility player and you're playing on an All-American team, kudos to you. You may be the best player on that team. I love that. That's a great thought. Esther White, middle infielder, Virginia Unity Ross Johnson. Congratulations to Esther White. Jolie Adams, outfielder, Bombers Gold Lewis. Carrington Dawson, outfielder, Texas Dirt Divas 05. And another member of that Ross Johnson Virginia Unity team in Destiny Harris. Townsend Thomas, Texas Blaze United. Townsend, a gifted outfielder.
You often hear, oh, she's got track speed. This kid runs AAU track. She's a legitimate track athlete. I just hope she gets on base in this All-Star game, because I want to see the cat and mouse game with the pitcher and catcher and her running, because obviously she steals a ton, but she's got great explosiveness. A lot of times these track athletes have that quick first step and explosion out of the box. I think that she's in that category, and an outfielder covers, like you said earlier, a lot of ground because of that athleticism.
PGF being progressive enough and courageous enough, because you have to invest money to do this and to put together the type of production that we're lucky enough to be a part of, full blown, like it's a Dodgers or an Angels game, full truck out there, full crew, broadcast on ESPNU. So that's an investment for PGF. Can you gauge the impact to the sport of a game like this, specifically the creativeness of the futures game? I think those in this space may be envious of the creativity to come up with it. Can you gauge the impact to the sport as a whole?
Well, I think it just generates excitement from those younger ages. Going to the national championship, winning the national championship, it's exciting for these young athletes. But then to experience that level that they want to be at their age, the impact is huge. And I think we're hearing athletes in those 10U divisions now, because the futures game is into its second year and it was just a tremendous success last season. Athletes want to be a part of it. Yep. They want to get into that system. They want to be invited. Of course, we play a team sport, but they want to really fine tune those individual skills and get seen so they can be on a stage like this and go up through the pipeline. It gives you exposure, but it's fun and it's exciting and it's a celebration. And it's similar to these women going to the Women's College World Series, playing on that kind of a stage, being able to do that as a youngster. The impact is endless. Yeah,
it's very interesting. We send out biographical questionnaires and going back to the All-American game, the older game, which has been around since 2016. And I asked them, hey, what excites you most? And they all respond, I've been watching this game the last 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. I've been watching, and I've wanted to be a part of it. And I think that's a huge testimony to what you're talking about. I really, really do. Taylor Troutman, outfielder. Taylor, Top Gun National. Macy Cintron, pitcher, We're going into the circle with the final 5. Lady Dukes Lamar, congratulations, Macy. Addison Fisher, a pitcher, Northwest Bullets 18U team, so playing up. Tell us about Addison.
She was a Gatorade Player of the Year in Oregon as a freshman. She's that good, and you have to be pretty good to play up at 18U, and Northwest Bullets are a very competitive team. I like her competitive presence in the circle on the mound. She just brings that awareness, gets a lot of strikeouts, but has that persona of, I'm not going to let you beat me. She's a tough kid already.
What I love about pitchers in these events, by the way, is, as you say, it is a team game, but it's not in this. I mean, you want to win for your team, and there's nothing wrong with it. Showcases, there's nothing wrong with showcases as hard as these athletes work. And I really think for the pitchers, respectfully, it's about strikeouts, baby. I mean, it is about strikeouts. I want to miss your bat if I can. I love my defense, and so many softball athletes. I and you and you join us that we interview. Hey, tell us why you were so good in this game. Whether it's a college pitcher, whether it's a high school pitcher, travel pitcher, and they say, well, my teammates are great behind me. My teammates. They will say this in this interview, but they want to strike batters out.
Yeah, and they don't have a lot of opportunity because we're trying to showcase all of these athletes. So if you're a pitcher in this game, you get in there, you get an inning or two. So you want to get right to work. You've got to communicate with your battery because you've likely never thrown to this catcher before. You want your defense to work behind you, but you're right. It's about going in hard, making a statement because you might only get 3 batters, but leave a little something out there on the field and do it quickly.
Yeah. Jaden Heavner's the #1 player in the country. Virginia Unity, another member of that Ross Johnson team.
Yeah, dual player who can hit as well as she pitches. She batted, I think, for her Tennessee high school team this year, 390. Was 16-3, but here's a stat that jumps out at me, had 8 no-hitters. So she is that dominant pitcher and that duo player that can hit and do some damage with her arm. But yes, #1 player for a reason. She took her team to the state Final Four. You don't do that in Tennessee, which is a very good softball sport if you don't have the talent. Very young.
Southpaw, Audrey Lowry, left-handed pitcher, another member of that Beverly Bandits 16U Premier Conroy team. Congratulations. And the final member of the roster is Morgan Reimer. Pitcher, Georgia Impact, and excited to see Morgan work. Why don't you give us a little primer?
From British Columbia, Canada. And she wasn't really well known in a couple years, and then the COVID thing kind of set her back. But I think we mentioned Lincoln Martin, that great trainer who works with a lot of athletes back east, works with Mia Williams. He found her, and she came out to PGF Nationals and blew up. And now she's in the game as a 2024, but excellent talent, just raw materials, but great pitcher, and she's going to be one to fun. That's going to be fun to follow for the next couple of years.
We're always lucky to have you here, Extra Innings Softball, the great work you do there. Kind of sum up thematically what you've seen in these 23 and 24 classes. Thematically, what jumps out?
You know, I was looking earlier today, and we do the Extra Elite 100 rankings, and I was looking at this young class. Every one of these kids was in the top 50, and I think all but 2 or 3 were in the top 25. These are the best of the best. So these 24s going against these 23s, and these 23s are advanced. You know, it's a year apart, but they're very skilled. And one thing I was going to say is, you look at some of these 24s, they're playing at 16U. Bill Conroy's 4 players on that team are playing 16U. They're not playing, little teams that aren't competitive. They're playing up. So they're not going to shy away from this challenge. But the talent in these 2 games is just fantastic. You're looking at Power 5, SEC, Pac-12. I'm excited. This is the future softball. We're going to see it in these 2 games.
Not like the Orange Slices teams, the Orange Slices and Mom bringing the cupcakes, not those teams.
Not those teams here.
That's what I thought. What do you love most about both these events? I mean, really, we're done now. We've introduced. Congratulations to all the players. But what do you love? What excites you the most?
I just, after watching the postseason and the Women's College World Series, I get it. Like, these athletes are going to be there. And I love seeing where they started and where they are now. And it's about celebrating them, and it's about having fun. And I love watching these athletes that on paper should be there, and they're invited because they're tremendously elite athletes, but they all rise to the occasion because they're surrounded by the best. And that's what I really love, is I think it challenges them to be a part of this. And it makes them better, and it actually gives them tools to go on and be even better and to want to stay in this game in future years. So I love seeing the young talent and being introduced to them and their skills, and then just being able to watch them.
All right, so 4 o'clock Pacific on ESPNU, the Futures game, 7 o'clock Pacific, because we give Pacific time. We're out on the best coast here on ESPNU on July the 30th. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. And now you know the All-American and the Futures All-American. PGF, the best of the best. Can't wait to hang out with all of you on July the 30th. See you then.